Hey guys, this is All Artist Access here, and tonight you are going to see an amazing show. We are going to see two different acting teachers. We're going to learn so much valuable information, and for you actors out there, you're not going to want to miss what we have tonight. Tonight we're starting the show out at ArtServe in Fort Lauderdale. You're going to see an amazing show, so stay tuned. Mark Durso of Act True teaches the Hagen Object exercises in Miami, Los Angeles, and New York. Act True actors star on Broadway, Prime TV, teen sitcoms, American and Latin soaps, indie films, national commercials, and are Tony Award winners. Mark is a teacher and a director and is a faculty member of Broadway Theater Project. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Mark about his experiences in his Act True classes.
Act True teaches the Hagen process, and our first question, which all comes from Stanislavski, is, who am I? And then we ask, where am I? We ask, what are our relationships? We ask, what are our wants, obstacles, and actions? And I focus on the last question of the 6 steps. What are my actions? Instead of, how do I say that line? You'll go to these weekend workshops, and you'll see all these young people out there in the hallway. They've walked in, they've registered, and it's okay, you're a lovely couple, you're a lovely couple, here's 2 for you. And they hand them scripts. Day 1, they hand them scripts. And they go out in the hallways, they're in every corner of the room, and they're over there practicing. They're like, Susan, how can, Susan? Susan.
I've seen these people before.
Why do you think so many people who have no training can get into our industry? Unlike any other industry, you can't get in. You can't be an attorney, you can't be a doctor, you can't be a school teacher, you can't be a plumber.
No, you're right.
You can't be a plumber. You have to go and you have to take the tests and so that you can get your license, that you can walk out and go, okay, I can work on copper, I can work on PVC pipe. I have to have a license to be able to work on my air conditioning on the roof. I've got to be able to show that I've gone to the school. But actors can just, I want to be an actor. And hey, you're a hottie, you're a babe, you're a stud. Why don't you be in my movie? Okay, now I'm not criticizing the people, I'm criticizing the industry that engenders that ease of access into an industry that no longer requires craft. No longer requires craft to do a great majority of the work in the industry. And that's why there are people like Meryl Streep that are up here, and Kevin Spacey, and Daniel Day-Lewis, and Gary Oldman. These people impress me with everything they do.
And I think, you know what, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I was just thinking when you said Meryl Streep, those are one of those actresses where people look at them and they go, oh, that's easy, I could do. But it's her, I think, her way of becoming such a natural that she's so well trained in that she's become so natural, and it's not so easy.
So well trained.
Can you tell me some of the actors that have been through your actor process?
Sure, I'm very, very proud of these young people.
I'm sure you are.
And these are some Florida actors. Cassie Skirbo, who's right here from the South Florida area. She is one of the co-stars of Make It or Break It on ABC.
Okay, great.
Victoria Justice, who's here from South Florida. She's from Victorious and Zoe 101. Matt Underwood from South Florida. He's from Zoe 101. We have Daniel Simonis, who has done a number of episodes of Wizards of Waverly Place and HBO's Entourage. Well, quite a wide variety of work there.
Yes.
We have Natalia Castellanos, who has been doing The Mentalist and The Closer. These are guest starring roles. These are all starring or guest starring roles. I'm proud to say that the very same process that I taught to these young people that they used on teen sitcoms like Wizard of Waverly Place, and they're now doing primetime TV shows. It's the same process I use for actors from the Spanish market who are working on Donde Está Elisa. We have Elizabeth Lazo, who is from Grachi on Nickelodeon Latino America. Cristina Figueroa, who is on soap opera, telenovelas. She is a spokesperson. She is an interview artist on Telemundo. I have Aneury Lara, who is on Una Maid in Manhattan. He has a starring role on that. Juan Rangel is on Peligrosas Relaciones, I think is the title of that. Pretty good, pretty good. And these are all guest starring, supporting roles. I have the same process. Okay, so the process I'm using for teen sitcoms, I'm using for primetime TV, is working on Spanish teen sitcoms and Spanish telenovelas, and I have had the wonderful opportunity to work with Deborah Cox, R&B chart-topping, Billboard chart-topping artist. She was in Aida on Broadway and is now in Josephine, originating the role of Josephine on Broadway. And George Akram from Venezuela, who got to recreate the role of Bernardo in West Side Story in the production just last year of West Side Story. Same process.
Mark, what are some of the films that you're currently, are you working on films
Yes,
now? Okay.
yes. I am the artistic director of a company called Indelible Works.
Okay.
And we have 4 short films coming out this very spring. Hear Me,
wonderful.
based on the true life story of a young deaf girl who faces bullying and her victory over bullying. We have The Butterfly Warning, which is a book trailer based on a novel. And we have Girl in the Window, which I wrote. And it is a short film, and now we've just finished, and we're in the last editing stages of Scar, starring Cristina Figueroa, produced by Cristina Figueroa, one of my students who is from Telemundo Univision.
Oh, wonderful. And you know, really to me, it's most exciting because everyone thinks they have to go to California or they have to go to these far regions to accomplish their career expectations of themselves. And I think it shows with your classes and what you can have, what you want here. I'm intrigued by this, and I know that the people that are actors and that seek to find that inside of them, they're going to want to know about this because everyone has a passion in life, and specifically with this show, I want other people to see that it is attainable to pursue your passion. And you are teaching people all day to find that passion within themselves. And that, for me, is exciting.
I'm teaching tonight.
Oh, I'm so excited.
This is right before class.
I think it's wonderful. And those people out there that want to find stuff, it's going to be amazing. For more information about Act True classes in your area, visit acttrue.com. Frank Licari is an actor, director, producer, host, and the founder of Atlantic Arts Academy, the Atlantic Theater, and the Jove Comedy Experience. The Atlantic Arts Academy has announced it will become one of the first schools in the nation to develop and launch all Broadway junior shows. Frank is currently directing and producing 8-time Grammy Award winner Jose Feliciano in his live world tour and U.S. tour. I caught Frank just before he left to capture this interview. Oh, you have a funny side to you.
I have a very funny side to me, yeah.
And that's the Jove Comedy Group, which is a sketch,
improv sketch
group.
comedy, musical comedy, yeah.
And you also have a Quite Frankly show, which is hilarious, by the way.
Thank you, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I'm developing that right now. It's my own version of basically Dean Martin variety show for the modern generation. So it's basically where me as the host gets to not only interview celebrities, but they also get to perform with the host, and I sing on the show. So we do some musical parody and musical improv with the audience as well on piano, but we also have your standard kind of variety talk show as well. So it's a really kind of cool amalgam of those things. Thankfully, I've had a very successful meeting with an ABC exec in LA about a month ago on it, and now I'm flying back to LA within a week, meeting with a very prominent production house out there, which was referred to me from ABC. So, you know, who knows? That could be something, but they're all great things, but until they're laid down in front of you and ready to go, I don't try to get too excited about it.
I understand.
But it's all good.
How you have to do it.
Yeah.
And the main reason for this purpose of my show, for this episode specifically, is I think as actors, we've had a hard time finding good schools. You know, there's those scams or, you know, those $700 weekends where you can go be with one guy that came from LA, which is great maybe, but it doesn't really give us anything to hold on to. And I really want the actors and the people that aspire to do that, places that they can come to. So I want to know about your theater specifically. What can an actor have when they come here?
Yeah, I started the school 11 years ago, right after Blue Man, actually, and I was doing it, you know, I was up there, and I had the same kind of thing. No matter what level you go to or where you are, even in New York, I think, where I was trained and spent 10 years of my life, I think it's always difficult to find, because we're actors and musicians, and artists in general are so desperate most of the time. We go for the quickest thing. And if we hear somebody say, I can do a 4-day or 3-day training workshop with you, give me $1,500 and I will put you in front of the casting people. everybody.
And that's how they always get you,
right,
in front of the casting people.
Right, and what they do, just for those of us that don't know how the scams work, and I do know how, is they pay the casting people to show up, and the casting people usually send their assistant to the assistant who sits there, and listen, there's an opportunity there, but you can do that on your own. You don't need to spend $1,500 for that. So my basis of my school was really, literally, it wasn't about, hey, let's get you out there. It was about education. I have, as you know, I have a 180-seat theater here that we do professional shows, but I don't promise that to students. When I teach, even at I have 2-year-olds all the way to adult here. It's all about the education. And as much as in our culture today, how we see how easy it is to become famous now on YouTube. We see how easy it is to be a reality TV star, and I'm not poo-pooing reality, of course. But as an actor who did train for 3+ years solid, never even worked, just trained. That's all I did, because I knew in my head from the age of 18 to 21 that's all I was going to do.
Yeah.
To get that training behind you just makes you that much more prepared for the business and more successful. I mean, that's the bottom line. If you go into an audition and you're using auditions as your training ground, you're going to burn a lot of bridges with casting people, because they're going to realize that you really don't know what you're doing. And they're not necessarily, Florida's an easier market, no offense. It is.
Yeah.
You can do that here. You can kind of go in and, hey, they'll see you 7-8 times, and they'll go, hey, all you got to do is I'll guide you, and I'll guide you. In New York, they don't do that, and in LA, they don't do that. It's just like, okay, you're not ready. We'll never call you again. So training is very important.
I want to know, how can somebody, when they see all this information, get more information about your theater here?
I have about 12 websites, so we can start with the Atlantic Arts Academy is the school. AtlanticArtsAcademy.com is the school. The Atlantic Theater tells you sort of about all the stuff that's going on with the productions in the theater. TheAtlanticTheater.com. Those are the 2 main websites for the school. Obviously, you can go to franklicari.com and get all my links to everything. The Frank Lee Show, the school, the theater, all of that stuff. And then there's recreatingalegend.com, which was going to be revamped, so you can go there and check out for updates on the reality show.
What inspired you to do this with your life?
I've been doing it since I was literally, and a lot of people say this, but I started performing when I was 4 years old. My brother and I actually we toured upstate New York and into Canada. We were from Canada. I'm from Canada originally. We were child performers, and my parents got us into music. I was a musician, so I started off as a musician before I ever did anything with acting. I actually, thankfully, because of them, ended up being able to play 5 instruments. So, so obviously that helped me with Blue Man, and it helped me with a lot of other shows and musicals. I don't necessarily aspire to do musicals, but I sing, and so it's nice to have that in your back pocket. But it was always music for me up until about the age of 14, 15, and then I discovered acting. But I guess my biggest thing has always been I love I don't think I do it as much for me. I found out the last couple of years. Yeah, I've had this talk a couple times in interviews. I think I do it more to see the reaction of the audience. Like, I found out that I'm a guy that even after a show, even though I go and greet people, it's not my favorite part. My favorite part has always been the letting people go experience something and go home and think about it, and whether that's comedy or drama. I've realized that as I've gotten older. I think as a child, most people go, well, you did it for the attention. I don't think it's that anymore. I think maybe when I started it was, but now I realize I enjoy watching someone else react to a piece of music, or maybe that's the teacher in me too now.
I think it is too, because you like to see them become, enthralled in what you're doing, and you are, or in turn, vicariously kind of both bouncing off one another.
It's so funny. I finish a show and people come up to you after one of our comedy shows, and they come up wide-eyed, and they go, "Oh, it's great to meet you," and I'll go, "Oh, thanks very much for being here," and they always go, "Oh, you're not funny in person."
They expect you to come up.
I realize that I really do have this sort of stage persona, whether it be film, TV. It's that thing that I have and I don't think it's a performer as much as it's an entertainer, I guess. But I want to see them enjoy themselves, and then after the show, I'm good. Like, I don't usually go, hey, tell me how great I was, or whatever. I think it's more about seeing how they're affected. Because I really do believe as artists, whether you're doing music, acting, singing, you're always a storyteller. Yeah. And even what you're doing here is telling stories, and you want people to be affected by them. Mm-hmm. Whether it be giving them information, or whether it be making them forget their troubles, or whether it be, helping them evolve in their life. You're always telling a story. You're always trying to affect people, and that's how I teach through acting. It's your job on stage is to always affect someone. Mm-hmm. It's not to be pretty and be you and hey, look at me. It's always to sort of give something, and I think that's sort of what it's become for me.
I think it's a great story.